The restaurant scene is so broken at the moment. The hospitality scene is really, really struggling. I've slept in my restaurant some days because it was easier than going home. Don't be too scared. You just go. Just use your holiday and go for it. Give it a go.
We're on?
Yeah, we're on.
Long time
Amazing.
coming, isn't it?
Yes. Mike, thank you so much for coming for our podcast. We've spoken about this for a long time, about the content, and I know I'm especially excited to speak with you because I know you have lots of great gems to share.
I hope.
No pressure. I think I would love to just kick off and ask you about your story of becoming a private chef. And that starts with becoming a chef and then becoming a private chef, which is not exactly the same thing. And I really would love for you to share your personal experience.
I mean, that's, quite a chronology. So I started about 21 years ago. Like most of us, started in pubs, pulling pints and asking to help out in the kitchen. Done that for many years until I decided to start my first business in 2011, which was like a hog roast company. So we'd done a lot of festivals and private functions like that. And we found by doing the hog roasts, it moved into like garden events and then private dining, and sort of organically just moved that way. Done the hog roasting till 2015, which I opened my first restaurant, well, my only restaurant, but and I had that up until August last year. Was always still doing a little bit of private dining in the background for any of my regulars at the restaurant that wanted it. But after the sale of the restaurant, I went full deep into this, signed with you guys, and I think since August, I think I'm at about 85 events with you or something like that. So
Less than a year and 85 events.
about 7 months, 8 months, something like that, yeah.
That is extremely impressive. And I would love to kind of just ask a little bit more about how it was initially as a private chef when you sold the restaurant and you started. Were there any difficulties? Were there any things that helped you in getting those 80 plus bookings? What stuck out?
Initially, the scariest part is when you've had something like a restaurant, and I'm sure there's a lot of restaurateurs out there that are going to be feeding this as well. When you've had those struggles and those stresses, and it's become your identity, and you get rid of that thing, you feel like genuinely, I felt like I lost a big part of my personality, like a little, I know it sounds a bit cliche, but losing a limb, and you're like, okay, what do I do next? Like, this is all I've done for so long. I'm good at this. I enjoy it. The restaurant scene is so broken at the moment. The hospitality scene is really, really struggling. And I thought, what do I know? What am I good at? What can I? I've got a family. I've got a 4-year-old. I need to support them. And I came across yhangry on socials and thought, well, if they're selling chefs, they must need chefs. So just logged onto the website, signed up. Couldn't have been a simpler, faster process. And I thought, okay, I'm going to give this a go. I think I can make something out of this. So I pulled out all of my old menus, obviously with a lot of lessons learnt in between. It took a while. I think I took about 5 days, full, like 8-hour days every day, working on it, pulling out old photos, menus, updating them, double checking my pricing. And I think within the 48 hours of actually saying, right, I'm going with it, I took the first booking. Wow. I remember within that first 7 days, I took 5 bookings in one day.
Wow.
Yeah, I just thought, I think I've nailed it. I think I found what I'm doing, like my life's changed so dramatically now. How do I maintain the flexibility of family life? I also do politics as well. I'm a counsellor. How do I balance my interests, my hobbies, my family lifestyle, still afford to look after my family and the lifestyle that a restaurant gave with the flexibility? And yhangry was just the last little piece.
Wow. I mean, within 2 days, you basically turned things around, got your first bookings and many more after that. And obviously 6-7 months down the line, you've got so many bookings now and so many amazing 5-star reviews. They really speak for themselves.
Cool.
And I would love to know from your point of view, what is the best thing about being a private chef?
I think the best way to answer it is say what's the worst thing about being a restaurant chef. The worst thing about being a restaurant chef is, and this is the pressure that's coming out from the consumer down, the trickle down economics into being a restaurant owner and having staff, to be able to earn a livable wage, and I would call a livable wage 35 plus, 50,000, I would say is what this trade deserves in the position that you have as a head chef or something like that. You have to sacrifice 60, 70, 80 plus hours a week. And I know some people are going to call like nonsense on that. But if you're in the industry, you do know that. You are there at 6, 7, 8 in the morning till 12, to 2 o'clock in the morning. I've slept in my restaurant some days because it was easier than going home, right? And that's the time you have to give up to give that capital. And what good is that when you've got no time to spend it or share it, and your family's at risk? The best thing about doing this is I can still earn, truthfully, I'm earning more than I was as a restaurateur, but I probably give up about 25 hours a week towards it. If I don't want to miss my son's birthday, I don't. If I want to spend Mother's Day with my wife, I choose to not to work. But you're aware of the sacrifices. There's no forced that you have to give that up. You have to do Christmas Day. You can only take 1 or 2 days off in December, and you can't use any holiday. And there's no dictating like that. So it is the balance between lifestyle and your income. You're fully in control of that.
Honestly, I mean, I'm not a chef, but if I heard this and I was a chef, I would be sold. And not everything can obviously be rosy. There must be some negatives of being a private chef. So what are, let's say, the biggest drawbacks of being a private chef now that you've done it for...
It's not easy. Nobody said it was easy, right? It's not easy. You have to know how to run a business. You need to understand cash flow. You need to understand financial forecasting, pricing. You're not a chef anymore, okay? You can cook. You've got to run a business now. And to run a business, you've got to have good relationship with suppliers, to understand all your liabilities, understand like how to sell, listen to your customers. It's like this. It's like a casserole of all the different skills that you need, led by being able to cook. But that's not the bit that needs practice. The practice is how do you sell to people when you are talking to a real diverse range of clients. It's how do you manage that? How do you manage your finances? How do you know if it's right or if it's wrong? Sometimes it's too late. You've got to just learn from your mistakes.
And I think you obviously have the unique background, or not necessarily that unique, but a more senior background, having owned your restaurant and a head chef. Not every chef who becomes a private chef has that.
Yep.
And one of the big struggles that we learned from chefs who weren't a senior is around pricing.
Yep.
How do you go about figuring out how much to charge for different bookings, different events?
I mean, it's not a one size fits all. So if you're there's three different ways of quoting. There's price, there's quoting up, there's quoting down, and there's fulfilling a quote. Fulfilling a quote is a client says, I want to do 10 people, £80 a head, and it's £800. Okay. From that you go, okay, can I make money out of that? And that's down to you to do your research. If you haven't had the responsibility or the opportunity to do that, go down to your local supplier, go to your butchers, go to your greengrocers, go to your fishmongers, and set yourself a simple spreadsheet. We've got a community we use, it's the Circle app, right? And yes, okay, we're all chefs tendering for the same work, but the support on there is unreal. And if you want to reach out, I'm sure any of the chefs would turn and go, do you want to have a quick phone call? Do you want some help? We can give you a pricing template. I'm sure if you Googled hard enough, you could find a pricing template and how to fill it out, and that will give you how to price your menus up. Then you can reverse engineer. Okay, they want to charge an 80 quid a head. I know that's going to cost 20 quid a head, so that gives me £60. Blah blah blah. And then that's all part of the learning curve of it. No one will teach you that without really doing it first. I mean, the other two methods of pricing is you price up. So you go, okay, so my time is worth X. I know I'm going to spend. I can only physically work 3 days out of the week, but I need to earn money for 5. Anything like this, you can reach out to the Circle, especially if you want me to contact myself, I can talk you through it. But there's ways of working out what you're going to earn or what you need to earn. I'm a massive advocate for on-target sales. So how to make sure you can afford your life out of this platform by pricing up properly.
Wow, so is that how you think about the transition from restaurant? You've obviously mentioned just now that you actually earn a bit more than you used to, which is amazing to hear. And you basically then set yourself a target every month or every week?
So I don't want to share the numbers. I think it's healthy to talk about numbers. And people think talking financials is a bit of a taboo. I think it's extremely unhelpful. So the way I work it out is I say I want to earn a minimum of 52,000 a year, which is an easy number because it's £1,000 net a week, right?
Yeah.
So when you put all the other extras on top that are going to be deductions, tax, fees, etc., right? I know I have to try and sell about £1,300 worth of work a week, which sounds like an awful lot, right? But it's really, really not, because when you know which lane you fit in. So I fit into a sort of hen party, large groups with a slightly easier menu that can be executed on my own, i.e. lower costs. So I know that, okay, to do £1,000, if you've got 20 people, that's £50 a head. Well, £50 a head for a 3-4 course meal. Yeah, you're not going to get that in a restaurant anywhere. So that's £1,000 of it, and that's what I charge for a Saturday. Then I tried to sell a Friday for £600. So straight away on 2 days' work, I've earned £1,600. Anything outside of that is all bonus money. So I'm looking forward at my calendar, and when the jobs come through on the platform, I look at my Saturdays, and I only really apply for Saturday jobs for £1,000. So that £1,300 by a 4-week month is £5,200. Once I've done turnover of £5,200 forecast in the app, I tender for what I want then, because that's all extra money.
Yeah.
But as long as I hit my on-target sales of 5,200, I know I can look after my family and myself. So, yeah, that's how I approach it.
That's amazing. I think it's really great to hear the structure, because I think a lot of chefs, especially the ones who are newer to it, are a bit more finger in the air, whereas you're very regimented in your approach.
If you're not, this is someone who's still doing it as a full-time chef. If you're doing it as a part-time chef, right? This is for me. I would highly encourage anybody out there that when trying to put their toe in the water with this. You get 21, 28 days holiday with any supplier. Use your holiday, take it off on a Saturday, and use those Saturdays to try and sell these jobs. And then you really go, okay, now's the time that I can start taking it seriously. But if it is using your holiday up and it's part-time, you wouldn't mind having enough £600 in your hand every day you took a holiday day.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, you might need to take 2 to do the prep the day before, but let's be honest, most people are only earning £700 a week in this industry as it is anyway. If you could double up with 2 days holiday,
it's
pretty
solid.
A bit extra, isn't it?
So you've mentioned obviously that you work Fridays and Saturdays, and you've mentioned that prep happens beforehand.
Yep.
Can you maybe walk us through what your typical week looks like?
Okay. Well, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's my time. I do accounts and stuff. I spend some time with my son. I do me. Then Wednesday evening, I sort of start getting my paperwork ready. Thursday, I've got my paperwork ready. I tend to phone my suppliers up and get anything abnormal ordered in. I like to go down to my suppliers. I want to shout out to Osborne's Fishmongers. I go down to see my guys at the seafront. I had to hand pick all my fish out like I do with my meat and my fruit and veg. So Thursday's a real on day. And I do a lot of the organising. So if I need to vacuum pack any steaks or any fish or anything like that, and then I get everything ready. I've got 3 fridges in my garages. I've got the garage, then I've got like a couple of bags, and I organise myself for the week. But I don't start till after the school run. I drop my boy off, go down, do my shopping, come back. Might have an hour spare before I pick my son up, and when I get back home, I do that sort of stuff. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's great because I'm around during the daytime. I leave 3-4 o'clock and get back about 10, 11 o'clock. Same on Saturdays. Don't tend to take Sundays because Sundays is a football day. But
personal preference, and you have the freedom to decline Sundays.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. It's the beautiful thing about you're not forced to have to do things to earn that money. If I know I've had a good month and I'm a massive West Ham fan. If I want to, for my sins, if I want to go see West Ham lose, I'll go. All right, I'm going to not take the job on that Saturday, on that Sunday, and I'll go and watch Hammers. So.
Yeah, funnily enough. Drew, our developer who actually flies in from Mallorca every 2 weeks, he accidentally went to West Ham instead of West Hampstead today.
Small difference.
Yeah, small difference.
Yeah.
Now, what is one piece of kit that you cannot live without?
Sous-vide. Portable sous-vide. So it's not the big ones you have in restaurants. The immersion circulator sticks. They're about £44. I carry 4 of them with me. And I've got my deep gas, chefs will understand, I've got my one deep gastros and 1 half gastros. The main reason being is not to be, I've got sous vide thing and be all fancy and pretentious. Insurance. The insurance you're giving yourself and your client, and the freedom you're giving your client to choose when they want to eat. If you do pan and oven cooking, this is for chefs who appreciate this. If you're doing pan and oven cooking, 12 minutes is 12 minutes, that's unnegotiable. 13, 14, 15 minutes and it's done. And you don't have a fridge full of spares, and you can't make money by carrying around a fridge full of spares. But for instance, I'll tell you a story. I had a client in, funny enough, Hampstead, where there was an Airbnb, there was like 13 of them, and they all wanted fillet steak. But the kids, being in an Airbnb, being on holiday, took an hour and a half to go to bed. Now, when you've got everything else going on, if you go, well, I've got to pull this out of the bag, you can't undo cooking a steak. With sous vide, if I hold it in there, once it's perfect 55 degrees, all I've got to do is sear it off and it's 8 seconds. But I have one for my fish, my meat, I have sauces and I have sundries, and everything's always hot, it's ready to go, it won't overcook, and it just turns into a plating exercise. So you've got to understand you're a guest in the guest's house, and they tell you when they want to eat. It's not a restaurant experience. You don't get to tell them. So if they want to rest between courses, you've got to honour that and give them the service that they want. And so the sous vide is the ultimate insurance hack, I would say.
Amazing. Mentioning this booking, do you remember one favourite booking that you've done as a private chef?
Oh, always.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah. Gentleman called Jason. He had a lovely apartment, and he cleared the whole thing out. And he had a engagement meal or proposal. He had carpets, straight. It was really over the top, but it was it was beautiful. And he had a quartet there, and a singer, and a photographer and videographer. Wow. And he asked me to come and cook a meal for them in their garden. And it was just such an honour, like one of these like life. What do you call it?
Life events.
Yeah. Like a life event. Like that will stay with me. Like it will stay with them forever. And I just stood in the kitchen, sent them food, and just had this. I just felt this experience going on, and it was just the two of them, and it was so personal. And I worked really heavily with a client on tailoring each dish to them. Like they was telling me about a holiday they had. I think it was to the Dominican Republic, and I bespoke this dessert. It had all like raspberry and mango and coconut, and it was just beautiful knowing that you were there for this exact moment. The sort of thing that you see happen in restaurants or. When you're behind the pass, you don't see that. Your waitresses see it, your front house managers see it. Yeah. They get all that glory. They share those moments, and all you get is scars and bruises and shouted at in the back. But it's just nice to see that, and you go, "I've done that."
Wow! And be able to witness that as well, and then they must have been so grateful too for making it so special. Yeah. Wow, that is actually such a good one.
That's nice.
Yeah, although it makes me think that proposing in a restaurant doesn't happen very often because it's such a public place.
I've seen people propose at football stadiums, so it all depends on the client, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or you have people that have proposed and come into the restaurant afterwards. I've had that a few times at my place.
Yes.
If you're having something on the low key. Yeah.
Oh, and then on the flip side though, do you have a memory of the most terrible booking?
I mean, it's still raw in the back of my mind. So, it was a couple of weeks.
Haven't buried it yet.
It was a couple of weeks ago. Client, the thing, and it's I'm going to take responsibility for it. I had a client with a nut allergy who ordered. There was 8 of them. They had 3 courses, and then they had 2 options per course. And the 2 main courses they ordered with nuts, and it wasn't made very clear. and I arrived with a handmade butternut squash, mozzarella and pine nuts ravioli, and another. It's basically like Gillantine's aubergines with like a spinach ricotta and pine nut filling. And she said, "You are aware of the nut allergy?" And I said, "No, it wasn't really." And she said, "Well, no, we can't have that." I said, "Well, if there's nut allergy in the building," I mean, I'm of the, because of my liability, I said, "Well, then we can't serve either. I have to redo the mains." Now, this was at 7:00 on a Sunday night in the North Essex countryside.
You were already there?
I was already there, yeah. And I said, "Well, I don't know what I can do, really. Like, I've got to find the nearest shop," which was about a 40-minute round trip. And the only thing they had was cabbages. And I had to try and pull a dish out with cabbages. In the end, I know there was worse as I come back and I said to the client, "Right, okay, I'm gonna pull a Ukrainian dish out. It's a halopsi, or Russian Ukrainian dish, like rice mince and cabbage rolls, because it ticked all the allergens that I wasn't aware of." And the client went, "No, I don't like cabbage. I don't want that." So in the end, I had to just piece together and things out of a cupboard and overcome it all. And I ended up cooking 4 different meals for mains out of the bits of ingredients that was in the house. And the client wasn't the most
friendly,
responsive for the troubles and pressure I was put under.
Oh
But
my God.
again, I'm not. I could sit there and cry victim and go, "It was her fault." No, I mean, there was somewhere in the notes that, and I missed it, or it wasn't as transparent as it should have been. But I didn't kill someone, so silver linings.
I was gonna say, I mean, the main thing when this started, I was like, I've not heard of anyone like reporting any death.
Yeah.
But
Well, we've had it before, haven't we? We've got other chefs, like Abby, the Indian MasterChef finalist. She was saying that she's had a vegan.
Yeah.
Like, it happens.
It does happen.
It happens. And we can't take for granted that the client appreciates what it takes to create that dish. Yeah. Just because we know what it takes to be a chef, it doesn't mean the client knows what it takes to do our job. So we have to be a little bit malleable with that.
yeah, but also I think there's better education and communication that we could do to make clients understand a bit better behind the scenes how much work goes in the prep, and that it's not just in a restaurant where, oh, let me send it back and just, make me another version without the nuts.
I mean, I'm not to be devil's advocate, but it's not the client's problem, it's my problem. I should have read my notes properly. So that's why I do take the responsibility of that. But look, I mean, when you've done just short of 100 events, because I still do private stuff outside of here as well, and when you've done just short of 100 events, you're going to drop the ball every now and again. It just happens. But your durability is how you get over those sort of things.
Yeah. No, I think hopefully you're slowly getting over that.
Slight twitch still. But
Slowly but steadily. Now, going back to maybe hacks.
Yeah.
On a lighter topic, you've mentioned sous-vide as one piece of equipment. What about kitchen hacks? Like, what about certain things, not equipment related, that you do much more efficiently and quickly as a chef than maybe that you could pass on to the audience that isn't as savvy yet?
Right, so one of my favourite hacks, like especially when you're doing brunch and large numbers for brunch, is steam or sous vide your eggs at 63 degrees for 40 minutes in the shell. And then you can transport them or like have them in advance, shall I say, and when you crack that egg open, it's about 80% cooked. It's already got the perfect poached egg shape.
Oh.
When you drop it in the water, it just finishes it off, and you get the cleanest, neatest looking little poached egg. When you've got like 4 or 5 different items going on, and you've got all these orders going on, and it's just yourself, just take little steps to take the risk out of it. Or another one is like, if you can, if I'm doing things like sausages or chicken, sometimes large numbers in barbecues, I will have that not pre-cooked, but like cook it off in like to 80% and then finish it off with some charring. So just think about 3 or 4 steps ahead.
Yeah, I think someone here is an egg snob.
I'm a bit of an egg snob.
So might be something that you would want to try.
Yeah.
63 degrees, 40 minutes.
It's on record, yeah.
Twice.
And actually, that's not the first time we've had a sous vide today, so I think maybe that should be a little...
The next piece of kit. But it's not a huge investment, right? It's like £44. That's
£44.
really...
And the thing is, if a broken piece of equipment is worth just as much, whether it's 500 quid or 40 quid when it's broken.
Yeah, so literally just spending £45 on something like that seems quite worth it.
And so, because obviously I have job boxes, I'm very systematic. My tool box is separated into dividers, and I'm like, when you're moving around, if anything falls and breaks, you just buy another one. Whereas, you're going to go spend 500 quid a one or buy a 20 quid plates.
Yeah. That'd be quite painful.
And then what do you need, like a big... like plastic?
You can use anything. You can use a washing up bowl, you can use a saucepan. It's basic. They do up to, I think it's about 20 litres.
I don't have anything that's big enough, that's that big, unless it's my bathtub. Imagine you don't have hot water, you can put it in your bathtub.
It would take a long time. But 40 quid you could get to. I've done a wedding for 277 people back in like 2013, 2014. And all we'd done was just vacuum pack all the steaks, put them in CDs. And as the table was going out, we'd just searing the steaks off. Yeah. The bride's dad came in to me and said, like, how have you managed to do 270 steaks perfectly like that? And I'm like, kicking the sous vide off the counter.
Magic.
Love it.
So, what is your top tip for any restaurant chef who's considering embarking on this private chef journey?
Don't be too scared. Just go. Just use your holiday and go for it. Give it a go. This isn't like you're handing your notice in and you're leaving something comfortable. It's all very well saying is the grass green on the other side and I've got to jump over. So, we've all done it in the past. Moved from one job to another and missed the job that we've come from. You can still do both. It all depends what you want out of it. I mean, this, as I said, it's a good way to top your money up. Once you get a taste of freedom and lifestyle, you will start realising like why people do it. But I'm not going to sit around and go, oh, it's easy. It's not. You do the hard work, but you do it in a lot less time. So.
And I know from our conversations that the hard work is different. The hard work in a restaurant is more physical, whereas the hard work in private chefing is more admin related.
Oh yeah, but what do you rather do? Sit there and worry about taxes and updating QuickBooks and the rest of it, or climbing around an extraction covered in grease and cleaning fryers? You couldn't pay me to clean a fryer now. I'm not going down that road ever again. But yeah, the things I wake up on the days that I don't have desk days now, and I can sit there and I wake up in the morning to get my paperwork in order, or to apply for my jobs, I look at all my notes, I've got my own independent job sheets that I update, and I do that sort of stuff, right? But I'm drinking a coffee and I'm relaxing, rather than owning a restaurant. I'm speaking to the restaurateurs out there. Have I overstaffed? Have I understaffed? Are we using too much electricity, or the price of this? And I've got to write a new menu, but I haven't got time because I haven't got enough staff in, but I need to service the staff I've got. Don't worry about that. And the thing is, there is no better way to practice your menu than with your clients. If you're worried about a new menu, what I do is when I write a new menu, sometimes I deliberately undersell it to some people just to go, I'm just going to get it out there and get the confidence for it. And once I know I've mastered it, then I know I'm going to charge what I think it's worth. Yeah. Or I phone family and friends up, or donate. Sometimes I donate these dining experiences to local charities for them to auction off. And I say to the client, you are an experiment. It's a cheap meal, it's a raffle or an auction prize, but I'm using you as an opportunity to explore a new menu. But it's the creative side of it. There's nothing more frustrating than being caught in a kitchen, being told to do the same menu over and over and over and over again. With this, you can write and do what you want, and it's so exciting. It really is.
I'm so surprised in one sense, because when I speak to a lot of chefs, they will mention that their dream is to own their restaurant one day.
Careful what you dream of.
So you've obviously been there,
yeah.
and you think the lifestyle and everything is just not worth it.
Don't get me wrong, there's perks about having a restaurant. There really is. And pre-COVID, it was worth having a restaurant. having a restaurant, I thought it would give me all the glitz and glamour and dance and lifestyle that I wanted, and at one point it genuinely did. But the reality is rent, staff, national insurance, taxes, that they all need paying, whether you've got customers in or not. You don't have utilities because you're using the clients. There is no rent because they're inviting you into their house, and you've got your projections, you know where you are. You can't lose money in this. You cannot earn money by not taking bookings, but you can't lose money. I hold my hands up and say I spent 8 years building a nice little nest egg for myself. Then I lost it in 6 months with a restaurant.
Wow.
So you can, this is forward thinking, forward facing. You know it, forecasting. You know when your money's coming in. The restaurants, you just don't know what's going on.
I think I've got 2 more questions. They're our closing questions.
Okay.
One of them is about your dream dinner party guest, or someone you would love to cook for. Just generally, like who you would love as a client.
One I can't cook for, which is Anthony Bourdain.
Oh, wow.
But the reason I'd say Anthony Bourdain is people get really caught up in this private chef thing that everything needs to be top end, Michelin, you know, like 5-star foods. And yeah, there is a part of that, you know, it's a part of it does service the 1%. But what I've learned and what I've observed in this is we're now servicing and making a service like this obtainable to everybody. And not everybody wants that. It's okay if you understand that side of it, but I don't think food should be intimidating. Food should be accessible.
Yeah.
And Anthony Bourdain for me was that. He wasn't double Michelin star, this, that, the other. He was just humble, well-travelled, soul food, cultural. It was just what food is about. It was like, here's a little piece of me on a plate without going, well, that's 250 quid for it. So, and that's, yeah, I would love to have shared a meal with or cooked for Anthony Bourdain. The one person I would love to have to cook for is Ricky Gervais.
Oh, wow.
I like a thinker. I like someone who's...
Wow,
Yeah.
that is a bit risky though. What he's going to say and come up with must be so funny.
Outside of this, yeah, that's me.
Oh my gosh. What is this most recent comedy thing?
Oh, I actually went to it.
You went!
Yeah.
Because it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Because a lot of it, the content is based around Hampstead.
Yep.
Hampstead C word.
Yep.
Describing his son or his kids, you know?
And
Did you see it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's so funny.
I do a bit of work around Hampstead and I always think of that as I'm driving around.
Hopefully more Ricky Gervais less, what's he called, David Brand.
Yeah, I mean, I've just got rid of the goatee, but yeah, I was. And I'm saved on my brother's phone as Brentosaurus.
Okay.
Oh, no way!
Yeah.
Well, now the last closing question is, what's your death row meal?
Now see, we get, you know, chefs, we get this all the time. What's your favourite meal? What would be, but the death row meal is a better one. But yeah, I know, I have an answer for that straight away, and it would be porchetta.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's just, that's a meal that is so much love and time and precision goes into, that is sharing, family style, but it's a technical meal, but it's so simple as well, and it's got so much flavour. But yeah, you couldn't eat it on your own, you have to share it with everybody.
Wow, love that. And what made it easier to answer this than your favourite meal?
Well, because...
Last meal or something?
Well, no, when people say, what's your favourite meal? It's like, what's your favourite colour? Well, where are you using it? You know, what's relevant? Like,
It's more specific.
yeah, you know, it's like...
Hungover.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or is it hot? Is it summer? Are you on your own? Are you on a date? Are you with friends? You know, like my favourite meal with my nan isn't going to be the same as my favourite meal with my wife.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's the death row meal. That's a great question.
Wow, porchetta.
Yeah, I can see that's a good answer.
Yeah. I think that's the end.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Mike.
I know you're welcome.
This was very fun.
Good.
Thanks so much.
Cool.